this. It should be said, if someone's saying it, you should at least do your due diligence and investigate it. Mariah, you have anything to add?
In this case, they clearly did absolutely zero due diligence. They did nothing to actually investigate the case, and instead rode high on the stories that were dramatically portrayed by the media.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing in frustration because this is an absolutely frustrating clown. I feel for the people that had to go through this, the children, and also the people, the teachers and the parents. So, who went on trial? Let's talk about who went on trial for a second here. There were 2 trials conducted in the McMartin preschool case. The first lasted from July 13, 1987 to January 18, 1990, and the second trial lasted from May 7, 1990 to July 27, 1990. On March 22, 1984, Virginia McMartin, Peggy McMartin Buckley, Ray Buckley, Ray's sister Peggy Ann Buckley, and teachers Mary Ann Jackson, Betty Redor, and Babette Spencer were charged with 115 counts of child abuse. They expanded to 321 counts of child abuse involving 48 children. In 20 months of preliminary testimony, the prosecution, led by Leo Ruan, presented their theory of child abuse. The children's testimony during the preliminary hearings was inconsistent. Michelle Smith and Robert Pitzer, co-authors of the now discredited satanic ritual autobiography, Michelle Remembers, which started the satanic panic in the 1970s, met with parents and children involved in the case. They believed by the initial prosecutor, Glenn Stevens, have influenced the children's testimony. Now, anyone that's not familiar, let's take a side note. Anyone that's not familiar with Michelle Remembers is a 1980 book co-written by Canadian psychiatrist Lawrence Padster and his psychiatric patient and his eventual wife, Michelle Smith. It was a bestseller. It was written on the subject of satanic panic. It's pretty much, the events of the book were pretty much Michelle's memories that came out during therapy, documenting many satanic rituals she believed were forced to attend. Pat Stern stated that Smith was abused by the Church of Satan, which he states is a worldwide organization predating the Christian Church.
How?
The Christian Church started first. The concept of Satan didn't come out to the poem. What was the name of that poem? It was a book, which is escaping me right now.
So you could have justified the idea of Satan based on the Old Testament, so based on the Torah.
I don't think they gave Satan a name back in the Old Testament, but for the Torah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I think you might be. Well, no. So the Torah mentions the unfaithful deceiver in terms of the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
Which most Christians have assumed means Satan, quote unquote. But that's back in Genesis.
Okay.
So.
Dante's Inferno, that's what I was thinking of.
Dante.
Yeah, the first alleged ritual intended by Smith occurred in 1954 when she was 5 years old, and the final one documented by the book was an 81-day ritual in 1985 that supposedly summoned Satan himself. It involved the intervention of Jesus, the Virgin Mary, Michael the Archangel, and Donald Trump, who removed the scars received by Smith throughout the years of abuse and blocked memories of the event until the time was right. Smith recovered her memories through therapy and eventually traveling to the Vatican. We just want to point out that this book has been researched thoroughly and the events of this book were very highly unlikely. Yeah, but it's constantly used during the satanic issues with different cases of, oh, this is documenting of child abuse by Satanists. Oh, God.
MLS is back in approximately, I'm bad at math, 14, what's 14 plus 7? 21. MLS is back in 21 minutes, baby.
Okay.
Sorry, no,
I'm sorry. Talking about important subject here. Also, you occasionally hearing sirens and crickets outdoors, but we're all recording this outdoors.
Welcome to the country.
We're out in the middle of the country somewhere in Illinois, looking up at the stars, trying to see if we see any UFOs. Back to this very serious case. 1986, a new district attorney, Ira Redder, called the evidence incredibly weak and dropped all charges against Virginia McMartin, Peggy Ann Buckley, Mary Ann Jackson, Benny Rinder, and Babette Spencer. Peggy Martin Buckley and Ray Buckley remained in custody awaiting trial. Peggy McMartin's bail had been set for $1 million, and Ray Buckley had been denied bail entirely. The first trial opened on July 13, 1987. During the trial, the prosecution presented several medical witnesses. The defense attempted to rebut them with several witnesses of their own, but the judge limited them to one in order at the same time. In the summation, the prosecution argued that there had been 7 experts on this issue, but the defense only had 1. In 1989, Peggy Ann Buckley appealed to have her teacher credentials reinstated after the suspension was granted. The judge ruled that there was no credible evidence of collaboration to lead to the license being suspended, and that a review of the videotape interviews with McMartin should reveal and pronounce abuse of any evidence indicating Peggy Ann in any wrongdoing, and raises the additional doubts of credibility with respect to the children interview or with respect to the value of CLL interviewing techniques themselves. The following day, the Judiciary Board of Sacramento endorsed the ruling and restored Buckley's right to teach.
You're going to have to cancel the podcast. I'm sorry.
What? Hold on. Time out. Hold on for a second. What?
We're memeing too hard on the internet.
Please stop memeing on the internet. I'm talking about something important.
I know.
This is an important topic here. Jesus Christ. Decorum, people. Decorum. Jesus.
But I perfectly quoted Notorious P.G. It was all a dream. I used to watch Arsenal and Champions League, the classics, and all the way up in the limousine.
Oh my God. Like people would trying to learn about this important topic, and they're just going, "What the fuck are they memeing in the middle of this shit?" Yes.
I remember the country like MLS isn't real. We imagine it. And it's like, well,
Major League Soccer. We're talking about Major League Soccer.
Oh God, my face hurts left.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Nick.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, Nick. We're the worst.
It's totally fine.
We're the worst.
All right, back to the serious topic. In October 1987, jailhouse informant George Freeman, who had been a bunkmate of Ray Buckley, was called as a witness by the prosecution and testified that Ray Buckley had confessed to him while sharing a cell. Freeman later attempted to flee the country and confessed to perjury in a series of other criminal cases, which he had manufactured testimony in exchange for favorable treatment from the prosecution in other cases. In several instances, fabricating jailhouse confessions of other inmates. In order to guarantee his testimony during the McMartin case, Freeman was given immunity to previous charges of perjury. What is so damn funny? This is totally devolved into a hellscape.
I know.
This is totally evolved to a hellscape.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
What are the words?
And I have to work in the morning. You know, we're going to take a quick break. We'll leave right there, take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. After that horrible, Giggle Fest, something very important. So let's continue right here. So we last left off that George Freeman was perjuring himself, saying that Ray Buckley had confessed to him of doing these terrible crimes he was accused of, but he was lying. On January 18th, 1990, after 3 years of testimony and 9 weeks of deliberation by the jury, Peggy McMartin Buckley was acquitted on all counts. Ray Buckley was acquitted on 52 of the 65 counts and freed on bail after more than 5 years in prison. 9 and 11 jurors at a press conference following the trial stated they believed the children had been molested, but evidence did not allow them to state who committed the abuse beyond reasonable doubt. 11 of the 13 jurors who remained by the end of the trial voted to acquit Buckley of the charges. The refusal of the remaining 2 to vote for a not guilty verdict resulted in a deadlock. The media overwhelmingly focused on the 2 jurors who voted guilty at the expense of those who believed Buckley was not guilty, so they decided to retry him again, Ray Buckley. He was retried on 6 of the 13 counts, for which he was not acquitted in the first trial. The second trial opened on May 7, 1990, and resulted in another hung jury on July 27, 1990. The prosecution then gave up trying to obtain a conviction, and the case was closed with all charges against Ray Buckley dismissed. He had been jailed for 5 years without having been convicted of committing any crime whatsoever. 5 years of his life is absolutely gone down the drain with no convictions whatsoever. And Peggy McMartin Buckley was acquitted on all the charges. And the rest of the charges against everyone else accused had been dropped because there was not enough evidence to continue to bring them to trial. And most of this points towards the media case, like we had discussed with the Pizzagate case and other ridiculous conspiracy theories that the press had brought up. Some of them we discussed on a previous episode of Weekend Weird of ridiculous conspiracy theories. You can go back after listening to this episode to listen to that episode. Me and my co-host Ogul, who did not have the case of the giggles. The media consistently talked about these ridiculous conspiracy theories. Pizzagate is one of them, and especially like with this case. Like the New York Times reported, the case attracted national attention when the authorities speculated that hundreds of children might have been molested and subject to satanic rituals. It was teetering on the brink of a mistrial. The media coverage had generally scored towards an uncritical acceptance of the prosecution's viewpoint. David Shaw of Los Angeles Times wrote a series of articles, was later won a Pulitzer Prize, discussing the flawed and skewed coverage presented by his own paper on the trial. This is back when you had people who were independent in media and would look at the facts, not investigate what is the facts and what is not the facts. I cannot say that with most of the media now, because everyone has a inherent bias, but that's a different topic for a different day. There's only case of coverage of the flaws in the evidence presented. Witnesses and prosecution will discuss. Ray Stantz, at the time reporter in Los Angeles, ABC affiliate TV station KNBC, reported on the case and the children's allegations. He presented an unchallenged view of the children's and parents' claims. Stantz later entered into a romantic relationship with Kay McFarland, the social worker for the Children's Institute International, who was interviewing the children. Another instance of media conflict of interest occurred when David Rosenberg, the editor of Los Angeles Times, overseeing the coverage, became engaged to marry Laurel Rubin, the prosecutor. Okay, so you have a case where people are being accused of horrific child abuse. In the media, you have people in the media that intertwining with people in the media intertwining with members of the prosecution.
Is MLS back, baby?
MLS happens to be back.
MLS just came back.
Thank you for ruining an excellent point.
Sunday night in North Texas.
Oh my God.
Bed.
This is, go. Wow.